Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Learn with Lo. I am Lauryn Moore. If you are new here, welcome. I'm super excited to be jumping back into our series where we've been talking about all things fatigue. Fatigue is by far and away one of the number one symptoms that a lot of individuals tend to seek out medical care for, especially some deep exhaustion, not waking, feeling well rested, feeling energy crashes throughout the day, right? Lots of different ways that overall energy drain and fatigue can kind of manifest for individuals in a given day. So if you've been with us in our series, we talked about, number one, some of the more root causes to fatigue that even more of a conventional medicine might overlook. I think one of the more common workups that someone might get if you go to your conventional primary care provider thinking about fatigue, you might get some basic labs around looking at your TSH levels, or kind of looking at your thyroid panel, a very basic thyroid panel, I might add, but we might run like a thyroid panel, or maybe you might get iron panel, or maybe they suggest getting a B12 shot, right? But really looking at what are the root causes behind some of my fatigue, right? Because surely it's not just like a little bit of B12 that we need, or a little bit of iron. It's like we're talking about cellular energy here, right? So we need to think about blood sugar. We need to think about nutrient deficiencies. We need to think about gut health. For some individuals, we need to think about even more than just the physical, right? And that's what I really want to dive into today, because last week we got a chance to really take a deeper dive into the physical, especially as we talked about nutrition around energy and how we can use food as one of our primary drivers or drainers of energy. So if you missed that episode, definitely go back and check it out, because when we think about energy, number one, we think about the physical, and underneath the physical, we obviously think about food, right? So we got to really understand the biological nature of food, how nature gets its energy from things like the sun and the soil and the minerals. And then we as humans, we get to partake in all of that beautiful energy by eating said food, right? But if we're not using a lot of those, or we're not using a lot of those foods in the right ways, maybe some chronic dieting, maybe some over restriction, maybe some over exercising, or eating too many what I call dead foods, that can absolutely contribute to a pretty low energy situation. And of course, we have to start there first. But then once we really start to think about the physical side of food, and how food either fuels us or drains us, what if a lot of our fuel is really on point, but physically we still feel very depleted? Is energy more than just our physical body? Well, the answer is resounding yes, because here is the truth. Energy isn't just physical. Energy is also our mental body. It's also our emotional body. It's also our spiritual body as well. And so your exhaustion, I talk to people about this all the time, because at the Lowdown Methods, we talk about all four of your bodies. We talk about your physical, your mental, your energetic, and your spiritual body. Okay. All four of those bodies are going to come together to make up who you are as a person and how you present yourself to the world. So of course, we're going to talk about the physical. Yes, the physical really drives and fuels a lot of these, but a lot of times too, sometimes we hit a little bit of a roadblock or a little bit of a stumbling block if we take the physical body so far, but we don't pick up where that left off, really thinking about the other areas of our health. And so your exhaustion can be from things like carrying the weight of mental stress and emotional stress, or things that just aren't filling your cup spiritually as well too. So this is what I call an energy leak. Okay. And when something in your life is quietly draining you, even if you don't realize it, that is an energy leak. It's like a slow drip in that wastes water out of our precious energy bucket over time, and it leaves you feeling depleted. Even if you're sleeping well, even if you're eating right, it's like you still feel exhausted. And it's like a different level than just physical exhaustion, but it can very much feel like physical exhaustion as well. And these leaks often come from mental overload, emotional burdens that we're carrying, or even the expectations that society passes on to us, and some of the things that our conditioning has given to us as far as like certain childhood upbringings and things like that as well too. If we want to really kind of go a step further, don't get me wrong, all individuals are going to carry a lot of these like emotional burdens or energy leaks, but I think that especially for females in our population today, energy leaks are just everywhere and they're very apparent and they're not readily talked about, right? And we don't tend to either like to admit them, or they're such a part of our normal day-to-day routine that we've really just become to expect it, right? And these energy leaks are things like, you're not just tired, maybe you're carrying generations of conditioning, expectations, and just this invisible labor, which we'll talk about as well. Or maybe you were taught to self-abandon your own needs first, and you were taught to overfunction and people please and put other people before yourself. Or maybe you were told your worth in society is based off of how much you give or how well you do, how much you climb up the corporate ladder, what job title you have. And it's just easy for you to make it about everybody else, right? And if you're constantly leaking energy in these areas, if these are already speaking to you, trust that there is no amount of sleep, supplements, or blood sugar regulation that's going to be enough. Will all of those things help? Absolutely, they will help. But the physical body is only going to take us so far. If that physical body, those supplements and that great food doesn't have a solid soil to land on with all of our other mental and emotional and spiritual bodies, then it's going to be just that. It's going to be really great seed that lands on a very rocky soil and can't really take root, okay? So today we're going to really be talking about if you feel tired all the time in a way that you feel like sleep and eating right doesn't fix, or you feel like you really carry a lot of emotional stress and weight on your shoulders. If you feel like you're someone that says yes to things when all other systems in your body want to say no, and then you feel resentful for it later. Or if you feel like you're someone that's stuck in these patterns of overthinking, perfectionism, people pleasing, and you feel freaking exhausted, then buckle up, because today is for you as we talk about not just the physical component of energy and fatigue, but also the other bodies that a lot of health practitioners, let's be real, aren't talking about, unless you're specifically in a mental health office or a mental health sphere. But why do we have healthcare like that? Why are we segmenting the brain and the head from the body when in reality we know that they communicate to each other back and forth? So to me, as a health practitioner, I should be able to talk about both. Right? We should be able to sit in the same office and talk about mental, emotional, and spiritual things as much as we talk about physical things. It all works in congruency with each other. And sometimes we need a little bit more spiritual or emotional medicine than we do physical medicine. And that's okay, right? We can come and get whatever medicine we need at that point in time. But saying no more, let's really dive into why we experience energy leaks, specifically why I see this impacting women, maybe even a little bit more than men. But don't worry, men, you are just as vulnerable to these energy leaks as women are. Sometimes it's just maybe a little bit more apparent in female population because of our current societal patterns and societal conditioning. So recognize that even we as women, we don't just experience physical exhaustion. A lot of times it shows up as physical exhaustion, but it's actually these chronic energetic leaks from roles and expectations and conditioning that we really inherited. So I wanted to break it down into probably the 5 most common ways that I see individuals experiencing energy leaks from a mental and emotional and a spiritual sense. Some of them are driven by society. Some of them are driven by our childhood. Some of them are driven by just ourselves and the own expectations that we put. But let's break it down to the top 5 that I tend to see. And I want you guys to see, as I'm talking through a lot of these, if there's one or multiple of them that you feel like you really resonate with, because that then is where the medicine is at. Okay, so go straight into that. Don't ignore it. Dive right in, because that's where your medicine's at. So number 1, I call it the invisible labor load. Invisible labor load. And when we kind of direct it, like I said, towards women, we do see a lot of times women are expected to juggle a lot. Juggle caregiving, household management, emotional labor. Now we have a lot more women that are also working outside the home, so they're juggling their own career, but nothing has ever left their plate. right? Whereas maybe previously it was kind of like, oh yeah, it's like women, you run the home, and like men will leave the home and they'll bring back the bacon, right? And it's like now females are expected to continue to run the home and continue to rear the children just as much as we were biologically destined to do, but then also have the career outside the home, right? So nothing left the plate, everything just started to add onto the plate, right? And so often we have this without acknowledgement, that there's this increased invisible labor load for women, and we're not even acknowledging it because it's become so normalized now. So even when women, you like love your life, you love your job, you love your career, you love having that identity outside the home, the sheer mental bandwidth, recognize that we weren't necessarily biologically designed to be able to carry all of that, okay? So if you feel like you're letting plates fall, or you feel like you let things slip, that's because we weren't designed to have to carry all of that, and it's very exhausting, right? So it shows up as physical exhaustion, but sometimes it's just like mental exhaustion, right? Which for some women, like, I'm just so tired, and I'm like, can you describe that for me? Does it feel like tired, like my physical body is tired, or does it feel like I'm burnt out? I'm unmotivated. I have no passion or vigor for anything. I just don't care. It's like a level of apathy about life or whatever. Or is it like a mental exhaustion of like decision fatigue, right? I just like can't possibly make one more decision in my life, right? That's part of that invisible labor load, right? So if that feels like it resonates with you, then carry that one with you, because number 2 is more of our chronic overfunctioning, or what I call like the good girl conditioning behind it. Meaning that society tends to reward women for being selfless, agreeable, always available, right? It's like we're a constant yes. Like you call us, we're there, right? It doesn't matter what we had on our agenda. It's just like, you kind of pick up and go. So we're always a yes, even if it's at our own expense. Even if we know deep down we want to say no, but we feel like we can't say no, either because of the person or the circumstance or people pleasing, right? It's like the more you do, the more then is expected of us. And slowing down, like forget it. That is labeled as lazy, or you're being selfish. It's like that is a very real conditioning that a lot of women carry, is like over functioning, and also recognizing that like being always available, being always the yes person, being always on is part of kind of what's expected of us sometimes, even if we want to like deep down say no and take something off our plate. It's like we can't do that, because then we're being a bitch, right? When we say no and when we set boundaries. So know that the chronic overfunctioning and kind of like people pleasing, that is very much part of this picture as well too. Number 3 is a nervous system of hypervigilance. And what I mean by this is many women are subconsciously, we don't realize it, but a lot of times we're very much stuck in fight or flight mode. That part of our nervous system that makes our heart rate go up, it makes us sweat, it makes our pupils dilate, it makes our cortisol go up. It makes our sugar cravings and our blood sugar go up, like fight or flight mode all of the time, because of these years of constant messaging that we kind of need to be on guard all of the time, right? Maybe there's like physical safety concerns. There's body image expectations that change every other day. Like first it's like big boobs, and then it's big butt, and then it's back to as skinny as possible, and then it's strong as the new skinny, and then it's body positivity. And it's like, oh my gosh, right? It's like, who is setting these standards of beauty that I constantly need to be on guard about? And also just the emotional caretaking of a lot of relationships. Like that nervous system burden is absolutely exhausting for women to always be stuck in fight or flight, to always think like, what's the next plate that's going to drop? And like, I need to be thinking about what that next plate is and be anticipatory of what that next plate is, or be anticipatory of someone else's like needs before they even know that it's a need for themselves. It's like, that's exhausting. And we're never taught how to undo a lot of that conditioning. I also see a lot of women, number 4, being burnt out from, honestly, perpetual self-abandonment, okay? They're taught to just push through things and push through physical discomfort, push through pain, push through fatigue. You're not tired. Just keep going, rather than honoring our body needs and our body signals. How often have you felt dismissed or how often have you dismissed, as a female, how often have you dismissed your own needs because someone else's needs felt more important? Right? Probably has happened to you before. Over time, this is going to drain every ounce of resiliency that you have. So this perpetual state of we're going to burn ourselves out if we are always taught to just push through and to never actually pause and honor what we're feeling in terms of discomfort, pain, or like I said, a total body no, I want to get that off of my plate. And then the last one, number 5, which I have to mention because it's huge. Let's be real. There are a ton of different industries, millions and billions of dollars of industries that are out there profiting off of women feeling bad about themselves. That's how they make money, right? Is how can we make women feel like they're less of something? They're not skinny enough. They're not pretty enough. They're not young enough. Right? And it's like, there is a reason you've been conditioned to never be enough, right? It's because there's businesses that are literally profiting off of that. And they're constantly feeding us these messages through things like social media and legacy media of like beauty standards, diet, fitness, wellness industries. They thrive off of making women feel flawed, tired, or that your body is broken, right? Because you need to believe that your body is broken in order to be fixed. And then they have the fix, right? It's like, I have the fix for you. I have the supplement. I have the red light mask. I have the Botox. I have the weight loss pill. I have the appetite suppressant. It's like you'll keep buying their solutions because you constantly feel like you need to be fixed and that there's something wrong with you, or that you're going to fall behind, or that you're not going to be worthy of love if you don't fix these things about yourself. Like, this is a very deep part of the overall industry. And that's what keeps women on this cycle, feeling trapped, exhausted, and always searching for external validation, instead of really learning how to reclaim their own power. That's what I'm all about. I'm like, women, this is how your body works. This is how things are actually down. And also, like, this is what's normal, but this is what's considered not normal. And when you're experiencing something that's not normal, there's some things we need to address, and there's some things we need to change. And some of these things might be some of the non-physical body. So stop letting billions-dollar industries convince you that you're flawed and you're broken just to continuously chase and buy their solutions, because exhaustion just isn't just about sleep. It's all the places in your life where energy is leaking because of how deeply conditioned we are to ignore our own depletion. It's like, what is going on? So just know that, like I said, there are definitely like mental and emotional leaks that we see. And most of it is the mental energy of your brain running on overdrive. It's really what it is, right? It's like constant decision fatigue, constantly overthinking. Should I eat this? Should I eat that? Is that going to make me feel this way? Or is that going to make me feel that way? Is that going to make me fat? Am I going to gain weight doing that? It's like, there's so much overthinking, and also thinking that there's a right and a wrong way to do it. It's like, I'm not doing it right. It's like, the only right way is what's best for you. And if you don't know how to stop thinking and to drop into your intuition and listen to that intuition, like, that is a muscle. You have to cultivate it. Like, that's what I work with women on all the time. Drop into your intuition. What is your body telling you? What does that feel? Right? It's like, that's the right way. And it's like, when my body's telling me to say no to that, I'm like, then say no, right? It's like, but someone told me I should. I'm like, I don't, screw them. Like, who cares what someone told you should, like, when your whole body is saying no. So there's this constant decision fatigue and this like invisible to-do list all of the time. It's like your brain is just like still working even when you're not working. So even if you're relaxing, but you're thinking about work and you're thinking about your to-do list, it's like you're not relaxing. It's like your body is still very much thinks it's on the clock, right? So this is why this drains you, because the brain, even though it's only 2%, which is wild, it's only 2% of our overall body weight. Our brain uses over 20% of our daily energy. 20%, and it only takes up 2% of our overall body weight. So this tiny little thing expends an immense amount of energy for us because we have all of these emotional energy leaks that are carrying burdens of things that are not yours. Like, I get so passionate about this because it's like, helping people through this, like this is part of the medicine, is talking to individuals all the time. I'm like, where are you saying yes when you want to say no? Because right now that's leading to a big energy leak of resentment and exhaustion. Or where are you absorbing other people's stress and emotions and expectations that are not yours, right? It's like, how many times does someone tell me something? I'm like, is that true? And they're like, what do you mean, is that true? I'm like, is that true? Is that true all of the time for you? And they're like, no, someone just told me that one time. I'm like, then that might not even be true. Like, why are we carrying that story still, right? Or we're holding these unprocessed emotions of grief and anger and feel like we're going to disappoint somebody. It's like, this is why we always feel drained. It's like your nervous system is just, it's treating emotional stress just like physical stress, okay? So we have to learn how to reclaim our energy back here by like decluttering our mental load a little bit, right? We need to simplify our choices, which really goes back to a lot of what I teach about from a physical body perspective. And when you start to like even learning food the way that our body understands food, it's like my whole goal is that makes that simple. Right? And everybody's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much freaking mind energy I spent every day just trying to figure out what I'm supposed to eat. They're like, it's so much more simple now that you've like taught me this new system and taught me this new mindset. I'm like, yes, remove that emotional energy leak every day of just questioning your choices, even your food, even your exercise, even your supplements. I'm like, it's so overwhelming. Get that off of your brain, right? It should be simple, but we have to understand how our body works. And we also have to learn how to drop in and listen to our intuition. So we need to declutter the mental load. We need to recognize like what's yours to carry and what is not yours to carry. This is a project. It'll take some practice, but very, very helpful. And then also honor your own needs. You have boundaries. You need your time to process emotions. You need to know how to say no without feeling guilty about saying no, right? It takes practice because it's not something that we're naturally super good at because we're so worried about other people's emotions and people pleasing that we will sacrifice our own before disappointing someone else. Okay, recognize that is not like, it's not a wall that you're putting up. A lot of people think putting up a boundary is putting up a wall. No, putting up a boundary is actually just building a bridge. Okay, it's building a bridge of like, no, you can't necessarily, like, I'm drawing a boundary here, but I'm building you a bridge over here, right? So just because I don't want it done in this way doesn't mean I can't be involved in this way. Right? So it's just learning how to navigate that can be really, really helpful. And it's, like I said, it's not an overnight success, but it's something that's well worth doing the digging for. Because a lot of times, like I said, this mental and emotional and even like spiritual exhaustion is really just, we get ourselves to a place where we feel so disconnected from ourselves, from our purpose, from what really lights us up, that we end up spending days doing things that are energy drainers and nothing that's an energy giver. And then we wonder why we're so exhausted. It's wild. It's like, okay, here's a really great practice for you guys, like a super simple one, but it's a practice I give to my people all the time. Do an energy audit of your life. This doesn't have to take a ton of time, but sounds kind of wild. Take a piece of paper and literally draw a line down the center of the paper like hot dog vertical style, okay? On one side of the paper, you're going to write everything that you do in a day. Everything you eat, what time you wake up, what time you call a friend, what time you take a work meeting. So it's literally like, maybe the first part of your list is like 5:25 a.m. my alarm goes off and I wake up, right? And then 6 a.m. I take a shower, and then 7 a.m. I have coffee, whatever it is, like literally writing down your day, because most of our days, let's be real, kind of get autopilot, which is part of our exhaustion, right? Once you have your whole day written down, and like I said, try to be as detailed as possible, then the next column of the list is you're going to go across to each one of those days, and you're going to add either a plus mark if you feel like it gives you energy, and a negative mark if it feels like it drains your energy. So if it's like a work meeting, a phone call, a board meeting that you're a part of that you don't want to be a part of, versus like, oh, I get to like coach my daughter's basketball team, and it's like that lights you up and you love it, or you secretly want to say no, but you haven't said no because there's not another parent that will step up or whatever it is, right? You're literally going to go down your list and put a plus next to things that build your energy and a minus next to something that drains your energy, okay? And then you're going to look at your overall audit and you're going to look at how many pluses you have and how many minuses you have. Okay, it can be very confronting. And you're like, oh, do I like waking up to a blaring alarm at 5:25 a.m.? It's like, nope, negative. That feels like it drains my energy, right? You're going to do that for your whole day. Because then the whole point is that you can, even better now, maybe create like what lights you up list, right? A list of things of like, what naturally lights you up? What do you enjoy doing? Where does time just kind of like disappear? Now, your whole day will not be able to be like this because we have to adult a little bit. But where can we insert some of these moments of like joy back into our day? One of the best things you can think about, and I prompt this with my patients all the time, is what did you used to do naturally as a kid? Just naturally, what did you love to do? And then how can you infuse some of that into your day? I personally, as a kid, without any like prompting whatsoever, if I was just left to my own devices, I always had a book and I loved climbing trees. So as an adult, I probably have no business climbing trees, but I also now know, okay, every single day, do I infuse in it time to read and time to be in nature? Those are two things that like I intentionally try to insert into my day-to-day life. And I notice when I don't have those, I'm way more exhausted, right? Because I don't have enough stuff that lights me up, okay? I know, like I said, a lot of what I'm talking about is a little bit esoteric, especially if you haven't practiced it much before, because it really does involve like your body knows when you're out of alignment. Sometimes it communicates to us in terms of physical symptoms. And then it's up to us to interpret said physical symptoms and know how to make some changes, not just push through it and just say like, oh, this just is what it is, or it just is what it has to be. It's like, no, we need to practice trusting that intuition, and we need to practice listening to that intuition. So these are just, like I said, things that we don't really think of sometimes when it comes to fatigue. This episode, like I said, is not about fixing fatigue in a traditional sense. This is about recognizing where you have been leaking energy for probably years or decades, and today deciding to stop that energy leak and deciding to put a plug in that energy leak. Because trust that your exhaustion and fatigue that you're feeling, it's not you failing personally. This is a symptom of a greater system that we are a part of that has taught you to ignore your own depletion, is really what it is. And I'm helping you take that back. I'm helping you take that power back. So identify at least one energy leak, a mental, an emotional, a spiritual energy leak, and start to set a boundary around it this week, because I want to help us strategically learn how to rebuild this energy. But you could put all of the great energy into the bucket, but if you have these massive holes at the bottom, you're going to feel like you're just bailing water every day. Okay. So like I said, the sleep, the food, the supplements, all of this stuff, it's like, yes, it's beautiful and it's great on paper taking care of our physical body. But if we don't have gaps to close those mental, energetic, and emotional energy leaks, you're going to eventually hit a really hard plateau, or you're going to hit a spot where you feel like you're just spinning your wheels. Okay. So make sure that, like I said, your energy is valuable. Your brain, your mind, your soul, and constantly giving you clues to what in your life might need a little bit of an energy audit. So if this was helpful for you, send it to a friend, because like I said, I know that a lot of people need to have and hear some of these conversations sometimes, because they become so societally normalized that sometimes we're not aware of them. And if we're not aware of them, then we can't change them, right? This is all just part of my greater lowdown method system, where we really make sure that we're taking care of the physical body, but also the mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies as well too. So tune in next week where we have part 4 of our energy and fatigue series.